UFC Denver recently wrapped up, and I am going to recap the entire card. We'll talk about the first fight of the night and then work our way up to the main event. Make sure you smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe, and let's jump right into it. First fight, we had Evan Elder and Darius Flowers. It was a pretty low-key banger matchup. They started pretty fast with the striking. Flowers was doing a lot of taunting. In retrospect, the taunting kind of makes him look dumb because he was submitted in the second round and essentially was gassed towards the end of round one. He was on his back. Elder got on top to finish the round, and then in the second round, found an arm triangle. I feel like Darius Flowers' boxing looked okay, but you got to give praise to the Elder side. He had good pressure, way better gas tank, no quit, all grit. And honestly, Evan Elder's voice sounds so close to Dustin Poirier's. If you close your eyes for the post-fight interview, I swear you think it's Poirier talking. I feel like Evan Elder's a Poirier doppelganger. That's what I see right now. I like Evan Elder. Big win here, finish win, good for his career. Sent him back Darius Flowers, and both guys took the fight on just days' notice. It was a decent first fight to start the night. It started off with good action. Next fight on the card, Andre Petroski, Josh Fremd. This is where the action halted. Petroski pulled off a boring snooze fest decision. He essentially just held Josh Fremd from top position for 3 rounds. He landed takedowns, and he controlled, man. It was honestly crap. It was a boring fight. But Petroski did what he had to. I guess he wasn't confident to, sit up and strike with Fremd. I guess you could get caught doing that. He did kind of get caught a little bit early in the fight, and he was bleeding from his eye. So he just was able to control Fremd on the ground, dominate for 3 rounds against a guy who's way inferior in the wrestling and grappling than him, and pull through with the win. Petroski's most impressive asset is not his fighting skill. It's his fucking physique. He's jacked. He said he wants to fight Bo Nickel at some point leading up to this fight. I don't think it's a crazy idea to do that matchup sometime in the future. He beats a Josh Fremd, but, not going to be having anybody calling up his name to get in major fights. Next one, Luana Santos, Mariya Agapova. Essentially, I think Luana Santos just released Agapova from the UFC. I mean, Agapova is a mental case, and she's very inconsistent. Luana Santos landed the takedown, worked towards the control, gets the rear naked strangle, quick tap out. Luana Santos is very skilled on the ground, and she just has a smart strategy. Like, if you look, she was holding the arm triangle with the hope of Agapova turning her back, which she did, and then she locked in a strangle. Agapova's mouthpiece is hanging out of her mouth. Santos has got good grappling. She's got good jiu-jitsu finishing ability. She's definitely a decent prospect at just 24. A lot of room to grow. At one point, Agapova was a hyped-up up-and-comer. My God, that's over with. Agapova is most likely getting the walking papers. Pink slip. Next fight. Montel Jackson, Blackshear. Jackson got a performance of the night bonus with this. He got a one-punch knockout of Blackshear. He caught him with a straight from southpaw, closing the gap. Blackshear pretty much walked into the shot, just moving forward. So all his weight coming forward with Jackson straight, and he was completely flattened here. Definitely a bad loss for Blackshear in a fight that looks somewhat winnable on paper. I thought he was actually a pretty decent underdog leading up to it, but Montel Jackson was way too slick for him with the hands, and it just took one punch. It wasn't, I guess, a fluke, right? It was good timing. It was great timing. It was 10 out of 10 timing. It was all timing, really. Blackshear walked inside, squared up, perfect shot, caught him on the chin, down he goes, fight stopped, 18 seconds in. And Montel Jackson is going to earn a big fight. I think give him somebody ranked next, man. I saw the post-fight crew talking about Peyton Talbot, but I feel like he might deserve something bigger than that. Next one, Jasudavicius versus Fatima Kline. Jasudavicius gave Kline a veteran lesson / just like a, out-muscling, out-sizing her, being the naturally bigger girl. But I personally take positives away. I think Fatima Kline's striking looked pretty good. Her grappling's good too. It's just she was out-muscled and outworked by a girl with a lot of UFC experience and a lot of age on her. Jasudavicius is a pretty decent, slightly outside of the top 15 women's flyweight. She's solid. And respect has to be given to Jasudavicius for putting it on Fatima Kline, who's a pretty damn good grappler. And I think still has a bright future. Cutting down to 115 pounds next time, Fatima Kline is definitely somebody to consider throwing down on. I'm telling you, there's really winnable matchups down a weight class for her. She's a good bet in the future because I don't think it'll be a crazy wide money line for forthcoming matchups. It was just a way too far step for a debut. She was unable to win it, but she still showed a lot of heart late in the fight, caught Jasudavicius with some big shots. Her striking looked good. Her grappling's good. She landed a takedown and got on top of Jasudavicius a bit. Positive takeaways. I'm just hyping up Fatima Kline. Jasudavicius deserves the respect. She got a dominant 30-27 win. She won every round. She won majority of the fight, and she pulls out a solid W against a short notice replacement. Maybe they rebooked that Araujo fight. I really don't know, but I'm interested in Fatima Kline at 115. I'm definitely keeping an eye on her, and I'm excited for more. Next fight was our featured prelim of the night. Charles Johnson versus Joshua Van. This fight made me really sad. Joshua Van had good pressure. Johnson was doing great early in the first round, but then Van really started to put pressure on him, back him up, and make him really uncomfortable. Second round was close and competitive, but again, Van was closing the gap, landing big shots, and making Johnson uncomfortable. But round 3, Charles Johnson leveled the fuck up. So respect to Charles Johnson and give him a top 15 fighter next. He put it on Van early and forced Van into a brawl very early in that third round, and Van got caught with a big shot on the temple. It was a wide hook, and then he got caught with a jackhammer uppercut from the outside and was completely dropped. Now, I did question the stoppage a little bit watching it live, but I see how the ref jumped in after seeing the replay for the simple fact that Joshua Van's head did collide with the canvas as he went down. So he was pretty damn dazed and confused. And then the ref jumped in immediately as Johnson was going to go for ground and pound. So, probably Van would have got stopped. I guess I would have liked to give it like 2 more seconds, but that's my bias being a Joshua Van fan and thinking that he was going to pull through and win and really seeing a lot of upside potential with him as a prospect. I still think he has it, but this is a rough loss. It was a vicious knockout L to Charles Johnson. A Charles Johnson who's been in the UFC a long time now. He's consistent, man. He's on a 3-fight win streak. Finally got to put some respect on the name. Beating Joshua Van is no easy feat. A good striking matchup, a fun fight I really enjoyed. And Charles Johnson, I think because of how he fought here against Van, who was really hyped up, top 15. Good win for Charles Johnson. His Muay Thai looks slick, man. There's things to like about Van, too. Good takedown defense, great boxing. It's just he got into a brawl with a slick guy, and he got laid clean. Next fight opens up our main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. And if you're new, subscribe. Cody Brundage, Razak, Alhassan. This fight sucked. It was quick. Cody Brundage spammed the takedown early like a naked shot, like a wild man. So weird the way Brundage fights. Razak Alhassan hurt him as they were in the wrestling attempt, was throwing a lot of ground and pound as Brundage kept shooting for takedowns. Alhassan was hitting him in the back of the head a fair amount. Now, the shots that called for the referee to jump in, a lot of those back of the head strikes were not actually landing flush, but leading up to the back of the head strikes that were actually not clean, Alhassan landed some big shots to the back of Brundage's head. The ref jumps in. I do think Brundage was working towards getting another DQ. We saw it when he fought Jacob Malkoun. He was on the ground getting pounded on. Some back of the head strikes land. And he ends up getting a disqualification win. Because he bailed out in that fight, I expected him to bail out in this fight, which he did. And, he said he couldn't continue. He was too hurt. And he ends up getting a no contest, which I think is a lot more of a fair scoring with this one, or a fair judging with this one, or a fair result with this one here. I don't think Razak Alhassan deserved to get DQ'd. I think a no contest is fair. So Dan Mergliana, I give praise to you, because the shots that led to it being stopped were not super devastating back of the head shots. There were more grazing back of the head strikes that for the most part were absorbed by the tricep. Ultimately, though, you still can't hit the back of the damn head, and he was hitting the back of the head leading up to it. So a no contest is fair. I doubt they do a rebooking of this one, but it wouldn't be a crazy idea to run it back. Cody Brundage's game plan is so questionable, though. I really don't understand the spamming takedown attempt. Razak Alhassan looked powerful, though, but didn't get a win. Next fight, Julian Erosa, Christian Rodriguez. These two started bringing the heat. And after a shit sty opener to the main card, it was good to see this fight. They started banging early in the fight. Big shots are landing on both sides. It seems like both guys were rocked. Erosa starts getting a little bit of the pressure edge on Christian Rodriguez, takes his back, has a body triangle. Rodriguez is able to get out of the body triangle, get on top, and then he's messing around in the guard, and Julian Erosa locks in the perfect guillotine choke, one of his best submissions. He's got freakishly skinny and long arms for 145, locks it in, and C-Rod's tapping out quickly. It must have been a super tight guillotine because he got that tap so fast. Julian Erosa is entertaining as hell. He's just that underdog, man. Julian Erosa is just a weird underdog fighter. He pulls off awkward submissions in weird positions. He gets good comebacks. He beats guys that seemingly have massive advantages over him. I mean, Christian Rodriguez is an up-and-coming prospect that's, on a win streak right now, and he was really looking to emerge at the higher level, and a win over Erosa would have done big things for him. Julian Erosa, the ultimate gatekeeper, sends him back with a fantastic guillotine choke and what was a pretty sick finish, and Erosa definitely deserves a lot of praise for that one. It was a nice submission, and overall, it was a pretty damn good fight, too. Next fight on the card, Gabriel Bonfim and Ange Loosa. Bonfim was not that impressive in this one. He won for sure, and he showed evolution to his game. So I guess I got a halt saying not that impressive. He is only 26, so I kind of got to hold my tongue a little bit. But Ange Loosa did land a lot of takedowns in this fight. Bonfim landed his first takedown in the second, and then altogether in the third. But Ange Loosa was bodying Bonfim in round one. Bonfim's striking looked decent. He does keep the chin a little high, and I suspect he could get caught with shots over the top. He was ripping big shots, but Loosa, historically durable, historically hard to finish, never been finished in his MMA career. And honestly, Bonfim showed something that I think is a necessity moving forward, and that is patience. Because in all his earlier fights, he's getting finishes. He hadn't been past the second round leading into this fight. In his one loss against Dalby, he stopped in round two. And all of his other wins, he's destroying people with ease. He's getting them out of there in the first round. He's running them over. Ange Loosa was a tough test in a fight where he had to dig deep and fight smart. And he went 3 rounds at high altitude. That's another major factor. And he pulled it off against Ange Loosa in something that, it is impressive at this age for him, 26. I think that he was on the fast track, and that's why he got the Dalby fight. And if he would have beat Dalby, he would have had to have been fighting in the top 15, which is just something he's not ready for at this point. So in retrospect, it actually has worked out well. Now he beats Ange Loosa by a clean decision, and he's going to have a slower build up the ranks. I still think he's a developing prospect, but definitely somebody with big upside potential and still has great finishing ability. I think it's just Ange Loosa's resilience here that definitely deserves a lot of praise. So good win for Bonfim. I had it 29-28, and he definitely deserved it at the end of it. Next fight on the card. This is where things got fantastic. Fight of the night. Absolutely badass. Both these guys give him the 50K. My God. This fight was awesome. This is one of the best fights of the year so far. Gene Silva and Drew Dober brought hell to one another. Gene Silva cut Drew Dober in the first round. He landed some good combinations. He had Drew Dober looking like he was stuck in the mud in round one. He looked super fast on the feet. And then the second round, you're starting to feel a shift of the tide. And Drew Dober won a lot of that second round. But late in the second round, Gene Silva steals it, doing some damage to Dober and then catching him with that spinning elbow. Dober's eye was disgustingly cut up after round two. But then heading into round three, his gash got horrific level. Gene Silva pointed at his eye and signaled to Herb Dean, yo, stop this. And shortly thereafter, Herb Dean stepped in, called a timeout, and the doctor stopped it because his eyelid was essentially hanging off. Gene Silva is an absolute monster. He landed some great elbows in this fight, some badass spinning attacks. He's got super quick hands. He's definitely one of the hottest prospects right now in the game. The style that sells, the skill set that sells. I think he drops back down to 145 and is getting a top 15 fight next. Drew Dober is game AF, and he's formerly ranked at lightweight. Gene Silva takes the fight on short notice, up a weight class, and looked absolutely amazing. He fought at UFC 303. Now he fights this weekend, so he's been fighting in back-to-back UFC cards. And my God, the hype is real on this dude. The striking game is slick. The takedown defense is good too, because Dober was failing on takedown attempts. And I really think Gene Silva is somebody to get excited about. He does play around a lot in the cage, which I don't love. He looked towards Dober's corner at one point, and Dober did land a decent shot. And he is touching gloves a little bit too much for my liking. But my God, man, he's a violent finisher. His striking is fantastic. His takedown defense is really good, and his precision is crazy. He's got a slick style. I don't want to compare him to McGregor because it's a different style, but he does seem to have that special thing about him that I think leads him to the upper echelon of the featherweight division. I definitely see him at 27 as a guy that could be getting a world title, or at the very least fighting amongst the elite of the UFC featherweights. I want to see him fight somebody ranked next. Imagine a Dan Ige fight at the Sphere with him. Holy hell, that would be sick. That's what I want to see next. Drew Dober gave a gutsy effort, though. And never sleep on Drew Dober. Never write off Drew Dober. Dober's entertaining as hell. And I think he's got fun fights coming in the future. He's not retiring after this one. He's still got some bangers he'll stick around for. But Gene Silva's a serious threat to the ranked guys at 145 pounds. He's going to drop down in weight, and I think he's going to be getting dodged, man. He's a terrifying matchup. Takedown defense with a legit beating that he put on Drew Dober, destroying his eye, hurting Dober in the fight. There's so much to like about Gene Silva. I don't even know. It's just, I feel like I have more to say. I feel like I could rant about him all day. He's slick. He's fast. He's precise. He's violent. He's got a great personality. He's crying afterwards. He can't stop crying after the damn fight. Gene Silva was fantastic. And it was the win that makes you great. And I think that Gene Silva's on the path to be something special inside of the UFC, because he really had a lot of balls to step in against Drew Dober, and he absolutely made the most of it, getting a sick win over a really tough vet and one of the most entertaining guys at lightweight. And Gene Silva's a damn featherweight. Next fight, Muslim Salikhov versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. I thought this was a bad decision. So I'll tell you my scorecard first thing. I had it 29-28 Ponzinibbio. I gave him round 1 and round number 3. I really disagree with the scorecards having Salikhov ahead, because I definitely don't think he got the third round. I don't know. I mean, you give him the second, but he got the first round. All 3 judges gave the third round to Ponzi. But I really thought Ponzinibbio outboxed him in the first round, put pressure on him, made him uncomfortable, landed some good shots, had him not necessarily hurt, but had him a little bit feeling shots. Round 2, Salikhov all day. He landed a nice spin kick. There was big moments for him in round 2. He made Ponzi look a little slow in round 2. But then in the third round, I thought Ponzinibbio did enough to secure a win. Landed a late takedown, landed some good shots, made Salikhov uncomfortable, pushed him backwards. I really was surprised as hell at this decision. I disagree. I think that Ponzinibbio got a 29-28 decision, and it's unfortunate he ends up losing this split by controversial decision, especially, in his later stage of his career. I do think, it could potentially be the end. I don't know. Maybe he's got one more. Salikhov, he's said he's going to be doing all his camps in Denver from now on. I guess the gas tank looked pretty good, all things considering, but I just really don't think he won the fight. So I'm surprised that they gave it to him, man. Because in that third round, I really thought it was Ponzi. And in the first round, I thought it was Ponzi. Just round 2, Salikhov. I don't know. Strange that they gave it to him. I don't think it's the best or the worst robbery ever, because the fight wasn't that good. It was a subpar matchup. It was okay at best. So, you can't really cry over the spilled milk of a meh fight, and then it ends up going the other way. But I do think Ponzinibbio did just enough. Not like he dropped Salikhov in the first round and he convincingly won the third, where it's like the worst robbery ever. Like, how could you see that? But I do think Ponzinibbio deserved the win at the end of it. I think it's a mistake to have given it to Salikhov. It doesn't make sense to me. So I disagree with the cards in that one. Ponzi should have won. Main event of the evening, Thug Rose Namajunas versus Tracy Cortez. Make sure you guys smash the likes if you haven't, and if you're new, subscribe. Rose Namajunas outworked, outstruck, outgrappled Tracy Cortez. She beat her everywhere. Round number 1, Thug Rose looked like the championship level Thug Rose. Dropped Tracy Cortez, also knocked out Tracy Cortez's lashes. It's so funny because I was thinking to myself, as Cortez was walking to the cage, I'm like, wow, I'm shocked those eyelashes are real. Like, she has the thickest eyelashes I've ever seen. No, they're fake. They aren't real. Rose Namajunas just knocked the glued eyelash out of Cortez's eye in that first round. I thought that was pretty badass. Thug Rose dominated the fight. I thought she won the first 4 and then lost the 5th round. Was able to out-grapple Cortez a bit and land some key takedowns. Was able to outpoint her with the striking. Seemed to be in a better flow. Seemed to have a speed advantage, a high-level experience advantage, a precision advantage, a timing advantage. That 5th round, though, Cortez showed a lot of heart and did put pressure on Rose. She outlanded her. Granted, I do think Rose put it on cruise control in round number 5, knowing that she was most likely up 4 rounds to 1. I believe 2 of the 3 judges was 49-46, with one of them doing 48-47. But personally, I had it 49-46. Rose only lost that final round. You have to give praise to Cortez, though, stepping up to take on Thug Rose. A little bit of short notice. She was supposed to fight against Miranda Maverick next week, but ultimately, short notice. Put it on hard in round number 5. Cortez definitely deserves ranked opposition. She's top 15, 100%. She's just not top 5. Not yet, at the very least. Thug Rose was more precise. She moved well. She was slick. She looked like prime Thug Rose. What I disagree with, though, after the fight, she made a call towards the championship. That's just not something I think is viable or likely for Thug Rose in her next fight. I actually would think that Maycee Barber, Thug Rose rebooking makes a lot of sense. I think Thug Rose could be live to beat Maycee Barber. I think it could look similar to the Cortez fight. I'm really interested in that matchup. I want them to rebook it. So hopefully that happens. Not a title fight, though. Thug Rose talked about chasing the 2nd belt. She wants to be a 2-weight champ. The thing is, there's a stifle at the top. Alexa Grasso fighting Shevchenko, right? And then Manon Fiorot being the obvious next fighter in line. But now hearing Shevchenko doesn't want to fight at the Sphere, so some weird hiccups may end up coming. And then Thug Rose, I mean, if she's willing to step in to fight at the right time and they need someone taking it in a less than optimal circumstance, she could find herself in a title fight. It's not impossible if she's willing to take it and, Manon Fiorot or Valentina Shevchenko isn't available. Thug Rose would definitely be option C. So she might find herself in a title fight. But in a perfect world, I think Thug Rose needs one more before you get her a title fight. And I think that would have to be a win over Maycee Barber in a number 1 contender fight, which is definitely a possibility of what's next. For Thug Rose, I really think she's kind of quieted the washed narrative that kind of stuck around after that horrible fight against Carla Esparza and then her loss to Jillian Robertson in grappling. She looks better now. She seems to brought it back. She seems to have everything together once again. Got the win over Hebos, got the win over Cortez, a nice 2 in a row, and her loss to Manon Fiorot 3 fights ago. Decision loss, forgivable. She broke her finger early. Then Manon Fiorot is absolutely amazing. So Thug Rose deserves a lot of respect. And I think looking at it over the 5 rounds, her precision was on point. She even out-wrestled Tracy Cortez, who's known for the wrestling skills, which I think is something that deserves a lot of respect because obviously Thug Rose, early on in her career was a primary striking-based fighter, but has 100%, developed a full, well-rounded game. And there was glimpses of that legendary Thug Rose who knocked out Joanna, who knocked out Wei Lee. So a lot to like. Thug Rose with the win over an absolute, savage in Tracy Cortez for taking it on short notice and giving it a tough go. Thug Rose is still amongst the elite. Now, as far as the picks, this was a rocky night for predictions, but thank God we hit the main event. I'm happy about that. Won with the main event with Thug Rose, lost with Ponzi getting robbed against Salikhov, won with Gene Silva over Dober, won with Bonfim over Loosa, lost with Rodriguez over Erosa. Had a no contest here, but Abdul Razak Alhassan was the pick. Lost with Joshua Van to Johnson, lost with Kline to Jasudavicius, lost with Blackshear, the dog lock to Jackson, won with Luana Santos, lost with Fremd in the lowest confident pick ever, so I'm not really upset about that, and then won with Elder over Flowers. So let's see the record. 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4, 2-4 and 1 no contest, 2-5 and 1 no contest, 3-5 and 1 no contest, 4-5 and 1 no contest, 4-6 and 1 no contest, 5-6 and 1 no contest. Realistically, though, if all decisions were just, we'd be 6-5 and 1 no contest. And if this fight would have went as it should have, would have been 7-5 and 1 no contest. So in some sense, yeah, a little bit of a meh result, but, big Erosa underdog upset in that fight there. Big Johnson underdog upset there. I'm overall not too upset looking at it, breaking it down fight by fight, as opposed to just looking at the numbers on the record. But it's all good because the savagery comes back every single week, dropping full card picks for the fight night card at the Apex, Jandiroba versus Lemos, which is coming up next Saturday or this coming Saturday. I'll be doing those picks later today. So keep it locked in on the channel. That was UFC Denver. I hope you guys enjoyed. Smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the card. I would say if I give it an honest rating, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. The main event was lackluster, man. It was a little bit boring. I did not love the main event. I didn't love the co-main event. I think both of those were mid fights. The Gene Silva fight versus Drew Dober was amazing. The Bonfim fight was pretty good. The Erosa fight was pretty good too. The Alhassan Brundage fight was annoying. The Van Johnson fight was awesome. Jasudavicius Kline was okay. Jackson KO was pretty badass. And then like Luana Santos' win was slick. Petroski's win was boring. Elder's win was pretty good. So yeah, like 6.5 out of 10. It just didn't finish strong. And I was hoping that it would finish strong. That was UFC Denver. I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.